What's up YouTube? My name is Ruff and today I'm going to show you my go-to processing chain to take my drums from sounding like this and turn them into this. So now we have Ableton open and the first part of the drums I want to go over is the kick drum. So if I open up this group here, you'll see I have 3 kick layers. Kick layer number 1, 2, and 3. So with no processing on the bus, all 3 kicks together sound like this. So the first thing that I'm going to put on the kick bus is this FabFilter Pro Q3, and it's going to be on the EDM Kick 4 mid scoop and click control preset. I was put onto this by Jaws' live stream on Twitch that's on the Soul State YouTube channel, and this is just as is pretty solid on taking out a lot of those mids that eat up a lot of headroom and giving a little boost to the punch. So with this on, if I were to turn it off, so it just scoops out a lot of those mids to give room for a lot of these other percussions that we're gonna add in later. Second thing I'll put on my kick bus is a decapitator from Soundtoys, and I only have the dry wet knob at about 40%, and I always like to keep it on the A style with the drive all the way up and the tone right in the middle, so with the decapitator on. Then, on top of that, I'll add Radiator from Soundtoys. That's to add just a little bit more on the low end. So I have the bass and treble up about 60 and 70%, and the dry wet knob right in the middle, and I keep it on the clean setting so we don't add any noise. So that's gonna add a lot of punch. Then we're gonna just triple down on the saturation distortion. We're gonna add FabFilter Saturn to this kick. And I'm just giving more of a boost to the highs than the lows on the warm tube setting. So that's just to give some more warmth to the low end and high end separately. Then I have a few EQs, just taking out those mids and boosting some of that low end. Then my absolute favorite, which if you've seen the previous video on it, you know how much of a proponent I am of the soft clipper. Woo! Makes all the difference in the world. Then last but not least, another EQ, just taking out the really subby frequencies. I had a great chance to listen to this track and work on this track in a non-home studio that had a really nice subwoofer, and this one frequency right here at 58 Hertz was just absolutely shaking the walls and just eating up so much room. So I just did a little dynamic EQ cut there, and it made all the difference. So if I turn that off, really just takes out those subby frequencies to give room for the bass. So that is the kick bus. But now when we move on to the rest of the drums, so that's gonna be the clap, snare, percussions, hi-hats, shakers, everything that's not the kick is in this bus here. And with no processing, it sounds like this. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut some of the lows. So I'm cutting this at 90 Hertz here because I feel like that's a good spot to cut all of your drums where you're not gonna lose anything from them, but it's not gonna eat up any headroom and clash with the bass or kick. Because that's all you're losing. That tiny little bit. So nothing too crazy there. Then I like this mix gel setting from the Ableton stock compressor. Really just brings the dynamics to a nice equal level between some of those lower percussions and that hard-hitting clap snare. Then, absolute secret sauce from Soundtoys is the Devil-Lock Deluxe Crush and Crunch, literally set at 1 each. The darkness at 0 and the mix knob at 5 with a slow release. Then I'm gonna parallel process this. So I have an Ableton group and then I have the wet with the Devil-Lock with an EQ after the Devil-Lock, boosting the highs and cutting out these lows here. And what that's essentially doing is, that's cutting out the lows that are added from the Devil-Lock and emphasizing the highs. Just to add some like sparkle to those highs. Then I'm gonna boost everything after the Devil-Lock with Oxford Inflator. Here's the settings. Then we're gonna get FabFilter Saturn on the warm tube setting to match the kick. Then I got Soothe just at 1K and 12K. So if I just helping to clean up some of those frequencies. Then I got a limiter and these settings, save these settings. Take a screenshot. This is elite FabFilter settings. And then just another EQ at the end, back at 90 Hertz, just to take out any lows that were probably added from any of the various distortion, saturation, etc. throughout this chain. So the entire drum bus together with all the processing sounds like this. I'm going to turn off. Like, come on. Come on. Woo, makes a world of a difference, and the settings on all these different plugins is never the same. But the order and generally like the plugins that I will use do pretty much stay the same. Like I'll always start off with an EQ right away on the drum bus. I'll always have some sort of compression. It is usually the mix gel. Then I will do the Devil-Lock and then I'll assess the loudness and see how much more saturation, distortion, limiting, etc. is needed. But the three that are pretty much like a lock, guaranteed to be on the drum bus in this order every time is the low cut EQ, the compression, and the Devil-Lock. All this other stuff after is all just fun and games to add even more like shine and sparkle and loudness and punch to the drums. But if you can get the right distortion saturation with your stock plugins, you don't need Oxford Inflator, you don't need FabFilter Saturn. You can achieve all this with stock plugins, but as long as you understand the concepts and why these plugins are on this chain and why they're in that order, you'll be able to get your drums to absolutely smack, I promise you. But that's all for now. I appreciate you tuning in. I'll catch you next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Peace.